Podcast City Network.
Listener discretion is advised.
It's time to play.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Let's go!
A shot of entertainment to the head.
No doubt.
Sit back, relax,
Put your drinks up!
and enjoy the entertainment.
Okay.
Now we come to the payoff.
Let's rock.
Welcome, everyone, to the Everett Lee Show podcast. I'm Everett Lee. Quick shout out to everyone that follows me on Twitter. You can follow me at the Everett_Lee, Facebook.com/the Everett Lee. Click that thumbs up, and of course, Podcast City Network, the official host of the Everett Lee Show. Hope everyone's had a good weekend and a good week so far. A good last 3 days, starting off with the rolling Monday mornings, but it's Wednesday night, and Everett Lee is live here on twitch.tv/Podcast City Network. Make sure you hit that follow button, subscribe button for the Everett Lee Show, where you can catch this podcast and much, much more on the Twitch channel of Podcast City Network. Tonight, my guest, he's returning back on for a second round. I want to welcome to the program again tonight. He is KZW, Kentucky's Own Wrestling, Jeremy Rage. How you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, Everett, how's it going, brother?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's been a while since you've been back on, man. It's actually been probably a few episodes since I've last talked to you, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you got people to meet and things to do.
I know. It's been pretty crazy the last few days, I'll just tell you, because one thing, last few days I've been working on my computer. My computer basically took a 180. If you saw last week or the last couple weeks on the Everett Lee Show, especially when I had Harley Fairfax on, did you catch that episode?
Yes.
Yeah, the technical difficulty was trying to get my stuff loaded up, my audio and my video, so I basically had to just do just no intro and no closing on it, I had to do it Robin Nilsson style from WrestlePopcast.
Oh, damn, you just had to go at it raw, huh?
Yeah, I had to go at it raw. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Nah.
No.
Ain't nothing wrong with getting a little raw every now and then, brother.
Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with that. So I ended up having to go a little bit raw there. I took the episode, and what I ended up doing was I had to go through and edit it and add an opening, middle, and closing and stuff, because none of my stuff froze up on the screen, but I was still live on Twitch, which was all right, but still, it just was a pain in the ass. It was, and I figured I got the bugs knocked out of it last week when I had Dalton on from the Movie Nights podcast, which is one of our new shows on Podcast City Network. I figured I got the bugs knocked out of that, and still, I was like, son of a bitch, man, technology.
I know, right? It's a bitch.
It is. So I ended up just talking to my best friend, and I said to him, I said, hey, I'm thinking of upgrading my system, because I was still running Windows 7. So I figured, I know, I figured what I would do was upgrade to Windows 8, and he told me, get Windows 10. And I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Oh, dude, you'll love it. It's easy to navigate and everything." So I went ahead and upgraded to Windows 10. I had to transfer everything over to my 4 terabyte external hard drive, my 1 terabyte internal hard drive. Had to move everything around the last 3 days. Been upgrading my computer. I got a new software I'm using right now that's streaming right here. I don't even have to open up my web browser, which is great. The Windows 10 is so
Hell
easy.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't even have to use, like, right now on my PC usage, I'm only using like 20% compared to what I was using before, almost 50%. I have everything right here on my desktop, and I have like 4 or 5 programs opening. I'm using 20% of my PCU, which is great.
Hell yeah, brother. So, sounded like to me that upgrade's what we needed for Everett Lee show.
Yeah, we did. We're definitely running an upgrade, and everything's going good right now. I mean, I'm running low PC usage. Actually, viewing right now here on the live stream, which I could see. We got some viewers popping in. I haven't seen anyone on the chat yet, but I'm running at 60 frames per second. So, in the chat, give me a thumbs up if everything's running smooth on your end, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm trying new software out tonight, streaming software. So give me a thumbs up in the chat with that right there. But besides my computer technicality and everything that I had to go through the last few days, what you been up to lately since I last talked to you?
We actually, me and my buddy, like I said last time, we started a tag team, the Lost City Saints, myself and B.W. Anderson, and we kind of got in a nice little heated altercation with the tag team champions, and it built up to the last show that we had was Double Danger 4, and that was the big show in contention. The last time I was on, we was building up to, and we still had ways to go to get to it. And when we finally got to it, it ended up being pretty much what you would think. It turned out to be a hard-hitting hell of a match. We did it tornado style, because the one half the tag team champions, he's from Texas. So
right.
We ended up doing a Texas tornado style. It actually went pretty good. I mean, everything went good. It just wasn't our night. We kind of got separated in 2 different rings, and when your partners get separated from each other, you can throw your plans out the friggin' window, because we were under the impression we were going into a straight up tag team match,
right.
And if that'd been the case, we'd had it in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
But at the last second, Mr. McGuire figured, we'd kick things up a notch and make it more interesting, so we went ahead and did it tornado style. And,
oh, damn.
yeah,
really?
So we just kind of wasn't anticipating that, and, it just wasn't our night that night. But
right.
a good friend of mine, Matty B, he's been on your show before. He ended up capturing the KZW Heavyweight Championship again, so,
nice.
Congratulations to him.
Congratulations, Matty B. If you're viewing in tonight, man, congratulations for capturing that KZW World Heavyweight Championship. I love it. So you came up short.
Oh, yeah, and big cousin Frank Vanover, he ended up making a return that night, which sucked for me because I was one of the first recipients of that. But,
right.
I mean, other than that, man, yeah, it went pretty good. We had a real good show. It just, like I said, we just came up a little short. But,
damn.
we ain't completely knocked out of the picture yet. We still got another card to play.
Right. You still got that other card that you're going to play. And from what I understand, you have a little beef with one of the talents there right now. I had him on my show a while back ago, Crutch. What's going on?
Yeah.
There? What's going on with you and Crutch, man?
Well, I mean, just to tell the story, pretty much. Back in his youth and back when I was younger in my wrestling career, he wanted to be trained and he wanted to get in the business, and I smartened him up and broke him in.
Right.
And for a long time, we traveled together, better part of 4 or 5 years, pretty much his whole career. You know, we always traveled together, and I always tried to look out for him as best I could and stuff. And then it got to where, I guess, you know, how friends get where sometimes, like, they want to be in competition with each other sometimes, you know, and who was having the better matches, who was drawing more people, and who, you know, it started getting, like, everything became a competition with him. And
Right.
when we got the call up to another promotion up in Western Kentucky, which I won't plug on this program, you know, but they called him first, you know, like they called us up at the same time, but they gave him the spot. And, you know, I'm the type of guy, like, I paid my damn dues. You know, I paid my dues. I've been 16 years in. I'm a second-generation wrestler. Like, you know, I've got the experience, and I could have took that tournament, and I could have won the tournament.
Right, right.
Crutch took the knowledge that I gave him. He makes it all the way to the end, and then Derek Neal ends up getting the better of the situation and taking the strap home 2 years in a row now, actually. 17 and 18, he left both times with it.
Uh-huh.
And after that, you know, things just kind of got a little awkward between he and I, because he was pretty much making it out like I was washed up and I was done. You know, like, he was pretty much trying to be the guy trying to put Old Yella down, you know, me being Old Yella at the time. And I pretty much took offense to it and called him out on it. And when I did, he didn't like some of the things I had to say, so I just figured I'd show him. And I walked up in his face, not behind his back, and dropped him like a hot rock. And we had a pretty good feud going for about the better part of 6 months. Jeez. At that company, we ended up headlining a show called Mad World, and he got the better of that exchange. You know, he was just on that day, he was just a little bit more ahead of the game than I was, and you know, I was just out of shape, hadn't been in for a while, you know, hadn't done a whole lot in a little bit.
Right.
Because I took a little time off after I, you know, lost the United States Championship at KZW.
Right.
And then we kind of took, after that, you know, we kind of hadn't been in contact with each other, and then son of a bitch if we didn't both end up at KZW. And, wow. You know, we had an interaction or two here and there, and then, you know, at Double Danger 4, we ended up locking up the horns again. And then he decides to go to a place called Iron Pro Wrestling, which, you know, he's not under contract there. We just, you know, we go there, I guess, to, you know, have another job in question in case something happens with this one. It's a, you know, fail-safe.
Yeah.
So, soon as he goes there, the promoter of that company ends up contacting me, unbeknowingly to me, asking me did I want to come up and, you know, do a spot for him. And I was like, sure. And come to find out yesterday when the flyer came out, who am I working? Who am I supposed to be fighting that day? Crutch. So it seems like that me and him's just destined to do this forever. I mean, it seems to be the career feud, kind of like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, or Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. I mean, there is not a promoter in this state that doesn't hear the name Crutch or Jeremy Rage, and they don't want that match to happen. Everywhere that we've gone, we always end up tying up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what's happening now. But you see, this time around, like I said, you know, I'm not like it was. I'm in better shape than I ever have been, and you know, now it's like I said, I don't look at him as a friend anymore, because you know, friends don't, like, people's going to have their own version of it. People's going to have their own way of looking at it, which, you know, don't affect me any, because you know, they're not there. They wasn't there. Me and him was, and I know the situation.
Right.
And, you know, like I said, there's two sides to every story, but long story short, when this match comes about, April 14th, I'm going to kick his ass. I mean, I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to feel sorry for him. I'm not going to let past I'm not going to let past experiences affect my judgment and how I do, go about the match.
Right. Well, you got some response coming in on the chat right now, Jeremy. You have Dirty Deeds says that you're making up excuses for your losing, and he also says that you cannot beat the Mad Hatter. And Devin says he still would like to see you go after Chris Rose for the U.S. title because that'd be a good match that he would want to see. Any responses, any comments right there from the feedback?
To the Chris Rose response, I'm always open to that U.S. Open challenge, but seems like every time that I bring that to J.J. McGuire's attention, he blows it off or gets kind of dickish about it, like he doesn't want that match to happen. Like he pretty much knows that if he puts me and Chris Rose, or the Chris Rose as he likes to be called,
yes,
in the same building, in the same ring together for that championship, he knows that title's coming home with me. See, it's different in a tag team situation. You have another person that you're responsible for. So if one fails, you both fail. But see, if I'm on my own, I've got no failure. I've got no excuse. It's all on me. And, you can look at my win-loss record. It speaks for itself. And as far as the comment made by Dirty Deeds, you said it was,
yes,
that I can't beat the Mad Hatter. There is situations in the world and in this sport that, yes, some guys just have some guys' numbers. That's a true statement. But you go back and look at the facts. I have beat Crutch numerous times. He's got 3 wins on me. In 5 years, the man's got 3 wins on me. In my time in this business, I have got well over that. And I trained him. I know what he knows. I know everything that he does. I taught him how to do it.
Right.
I taught him everything he knows. I just didn't teach him everything that I know.
Well, that match, I would definitely like to see you and Crutch hook it up in the ring. I also like to see you and the Chris Rose go at it too, because I've watched footage of the Chris Rose that he puts up on social media there on Facebook and then on Kentucky Zone Wrestling's Facebook page. I see footage of Chris Rose and stuff. I even caught the Battle Royal, the double ring Battle Royal with seeing you come out and seeing all the talent from KZW come out. I caught that too. Someone caught that right there. I thank them for capturing that right there because that was one hell of a double ring Battle Royal. If you have not seen that, man, hit someone up. I forget the guy's name or the person's name that filmed that. Hit them up and go on their Facebook because they got the footage up right there and you can see it. It was, as the words of JR, it was a slobber knocker.
You better damn well believe it. And the lady that actually filmed that, her name is Ashley Cottle, and she has a real great, what you would call a screen printing company called Works of Magic. And she has done the new Jeremy Rage, Mr. Wrestling Jeremy Rage t-shirt that will be available soon. She did the original print for me on the first one that I have made now, and I'll be debuting it on the 13th of this month. And she is very, very good at what she does. And she can make anything, any logo that you can think of, any picture you can think of, she can make it. She does mugs, she does shirts, she does anything, any size. It's a great deal that she's got going on. And she was the lady that actually recorded the Double Ring Battle Royal. She was there that night to try to, get some business going and stuff for herself. So
Right.
But yeah, that she's the lady that actually recorded that. And, if you've never experienced a Double Ring Battle Royal, I would highly suggest next year's event, Double Danger 5, I would highly suggest going ahead and reserving tickets for that this coming year because, that's like our Royal Rumble,
Right.
There's not much better.
It was fantastic, man. Just sitting there watching that, man. I couldn't believe the people that were coming out, and I was waiting for you. And when you came out, you did pretty damn good, man. You did pretty damn awesome. And Devin responded back in the chat. He's got to get a Rage shirt. So he wants a Rage shirt, and I'm sure pretty much everyone wants a Rage shirt. But I'm telling you, you did great. Seeing the talent come in the ring and knock each other out there for a while. I have to say at the beginning, everyone just stayed in the one ring. Everyone just stayed in the one ring there for a while. And then finally they started bleeding over into the other ring, which I thought was great.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of how that gimmick is set up, is you start in ring number 1. It's like the old school NWA days.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's almost something like, what would they call that back in the day? War games. Like,
yeah.
You start in ring number 1, and if you get eliminated from ring number 1, you're not eliminated from the contest. You have to make your way to ring number 2. So you got one last chance to, survive and push forward and persevere and get to that, goal, which is ultimately becoming the winner and number 1 contender for the heavyweight title. And, like I said, unfortunately this year just wasn't my year. I came in at number 10, and I lasted until the final, I think it was the final 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And was put out by Sully Larkin and Repic, which is the Undead Outlaws World Tag Team Champions at KZW. Big Frank Vanover actually is the man that won the Double Ring Battle Royal this year.
Yeah, I've seen that, man. That guy was a beast, man. Him and Crutch were the last 2 guys, and I figured Crutch was gonna win it. I figured he was gonna win it though, but he came up short. He came up short.
I mean, I don't want to say that I would root for Crutch to win that, but
right.
I definitely think that this year is definitely his year to bust out and break out in the wrestling business and become world champion and see greener pastures in this business, because he is, like I said, I say that I'm the best in the state, and I've trained him, so if I'm the best in the state, he's got to be number 2,
Right. Yeah, definitely. I know what you mean right there. I know what you mean, because I figured this was going to be his breakout year. Him winning the Battle Royal and going on to face Matty B, because that would be a match right there I like to see. Crutch going up against Matty B, and I can't believe Matty B won the KZW Heavyweight Championship. Man, he beat Tomahawk. Oh
yeah.
My God, I can't believe that. How many times now is this for Matty B?
I'm not sure. I want to say this is his 3rd run with it, maybe 4th.
Wow.
He's climbing up there. I mean, Matty B is he's a big boy, and he's a hell of a competitor. I mean, I have to give it up to him. The beard's kind of like his strength, I guess. He the longer the beard gets, the better he seems to get in the business.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. He's KZW. If you've not watched KZW, not been to a KZW event, you have to go, because if you weren't there this past weekend to see the Double Danger 4 and see the Double Ring Battle Royal, you missed out. So hit up Kentucky's Own Wrestling on Facebook and check out the videos and the promos from the talent on the page right there, especially with the Jeremy Rage. I mean, just wow.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like you said, I mean, that is something that if you're a wrestling fan, KZW can satiate you. I mean, KZW can give you, if you're a spot guy, like if you love seeing the high-flying spot monkey stuff, like KZW's got you back on that. If you want to see the old school smash mouth, hard hitting, brawling side of the business, KZW's got you. If you want to see the old school straight up technicians and great wrestlers of the business, right there they are. I mean, KZW has a plethora of different athletes and different walks of life, there in that one company. And I mean, the double ring battle royal is just, for one example, there's no other company in this state that does a double ring battle royal,
No. There's not one I can ever actually think of that can actually pull that off there. There's really not one that I can think off the top of my head there. But
well, yeah, I mean, I've worked for different promotions all around the world, and KZW is the first place I've ever been that I've seen to have a double ring battle royal.
Yeah. That when I first heard about that, I was like, "Are you kidding me, man?"
Yeah, like I mean, it's hard enough as it is being a performer, and going to these shows, and like in the Indies, some of the guys we helped set up or we helped tear down, and like it's bad enough as it is getting all that crap in a building and back out it again, especially after you beat the hell out of one another for 3 hours. But to imagine doing 2 rings and all that stuff, I mean, oh my God.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's no fun getting thrown from one ring to the other ring. I can promise you that.
It don't look fun, man. It don't look fun. It doesn't.
Oh no. But yeah, me and like you said, man, myself and Crutch, we're destined to feud forever. Because I mean, every time we get around each other, it doesn't matter if we're in this state or another state or wherever we're at. It seems to be that it's just that we always like, and we have that chemistry with each other. Like we've never had a bad match.
Right.
No matter what personal animosity or feelings we have toward each other, like we've never had a bad match. Like he's one guy I can honestly say that I always know that if I'm working him that day, it's going to be a hard hitting. It's going to be everything that you think it will be and more.
Right, definitely. Now, one question here from Devin on the chat here. He says, is there a difference between J-Rage and Jeremy Rage? Kind of like Demon Finn and regular Finn?
No, there's not a difference between the two. It's just the reason that I changed the name to J-Rage in the World Wrestling Alliance was simply because there was so many Jeremys there.
Right.
They already had like 4 Jeremys roll through there, and I just didn't, I like I said, I wanted to stand out. And I figured, instead of Jeremy, I could just go with Jay and just, roll on and be me, and that's pretty much what I've done ever since. I mean, that I will say that the character-wise, for the, I guess, if we're going to go with that route and call it character, I guess that would be closer to who I actually am, other than, the singlet, other than the singlet and the actual gear, like that's how I would dress daily, and, I'm a nicotine guy, so I mean, I do chew, so I mean, that would be more along my lines, I guess.
Right. That's J-Rage, right? You're talking about? Okay.
That's J-Rage I'm talking about. The name had to change because there were so many Jeremys.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, man. That makes sense because when people's like, yeah, my favorite wrestler over there is Jeremy. Which one?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
You have so many.
That's usually what it was. Like, if they had what they called roll call at like 3 and 4 o'clock, if they just said Jeremy, you had 5 hands go up. You had 5 guys standing there looking like horses' asses.
That's one way. That's one way to put it, man. That's one way to put it because I mean, you change the name there. That's like Steve Austin. Steve Austin, his real name's Steve Williams. He couldn't use Steve Williams because there was already a Dr. Death Steve Williams. So Dutch Mantel gave him Austin. Steve Austin gave him his name there, and because it wouldn't make sense if you're going to go see your favorite wrestler who's named after someone else, because that's just
Well, think about it too. Like if they'd ended up locking horns with each other back in those days, Steve Williams versus Stunning Steve Williams, like
Yeah.
it wouldn't have went. I don't think it would have sold many tickets. But a fun little fact about that, because he's my favorite wrestler of all time. He thought at first he was paying tribute to Lee Majors. He didn't want to, use that name at first because he didn't want to ruin, $6 Million Man. But Dutch Mantell actually gave him that name thinking of Killer Buddy Austin, which was a Texas-based wrestler back in those days.
Oh, okay. Because I knew part of the story was that Steve Austin was from Texas. And that's where I figured because he even mentioned to him, he's like, "Where you from? Texas? You're from Texas? Okay, you're Steve Austin." So that was. I didn't realize that there.
He named him after Killer Buddy Austin.
I like that. Deathmatch Wrestle pops up. He says, "Hello, Everett Lee and Jeremy Rage."
How's it going, Russell? You gonna upgrade your equipment too? It's about time, brother. Get with the pack.
Yep. He's been trying to upgrade his stuff here lately. He had the what do you call it? The Geek Squad helping out and stuff because he's been running some tech issues. He's been trying to keep up with the times and everything with getting upgrades and everything. And all I got to say is I'm just this right here, this new software I'm using right now, and how I got everything freed up. I'm not even using that much PC usage. I think the most I've already hit tonight already in the last 32 minutes is probably about the highest I've used is 24, and it fluctuates between 24 to 16. So my stuff's good, and I built my computer back in 2016. That's how, and this is what 2019. They would say it's obsolete, but about the only other thing I can do for this computer is I could if I wanted to add another processor. I can add a new processor. I can also I have 2 more slots for RAM. I can actually do that, and I can just do that. But
that sounds like to me that Everett Lee show is about to become the biggest and baddest damn show on Podcast City Network.
At times, there for a while, actually, my show on the site on Podcast City Network, on podcastcity.net, I was the top show. However, I got knocked off thanks to Russell Popcast at Robin Nelson. This, if you have not catch an episode of Wrestle Popcast with Robin Nelson on podcastcity.net, I recommend that you check it out because last year he had 2 of the biggest guests he would ever have on a show. He had Hillbilly Jim and Coco Beware on his podcast. Two great podcasts right there, man. 2 great podcasts. Got a question here. Another from Dirty Deeds here. Did you see the new Joker movie trailer? He says it's going to be awesome. And Devin,
oh yeah, it's got Joaquin Phoenix playing the part as the Joker this time around. Like talking about movies and going into the nerdy side of my life. I'm a Joker fan.
I am too.
And Nicholson and Ledger was the 2 best Jokers. Like that's just my opinion. You can't top what those 2 guys did with the role.
No.
I think that what's his name there that played the new Joker after Ledger, I think he bombed, just flat out bombed it.
Right.
Joaquin Phoenix is a good actor, but the guy plays Jesus in a movie. He's got he's got different depths that he can go, and he was Johnny Cash.
Yeah. He was the Man in Black.
But I don't see him pulling the Joker out. Like I don't see him pulling that character out. Like I see where they're going with it as far as like a Joker backstory leading up to those Batman movies, but as far as like being what Heath Ledger did for the role and what Jack Nicholson did for the role, no. I don't see it.
Right. Well, one thing I did catch the trailer tonight. It did pop up on my feed on Facebook. I did watch the trailer, and Martin Scorsese, he's directing it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The guy did one of my two of my favorite movies. He did The Departed. He did The Aviator, the Howard Hughes story about how Howard Hughes with TWA went all crazy and stuff. Two of my favorite movies right there, especially The Departed. You had a big cast like that. You had Nicholson.
Dude, it was so crazy, and the plot twist to that friggin' movie, like, that's one of my all-time top 5 favorite movies myself, but...
Yeah.
I mean, some of the shit that went on, you never saw coming, and I mean, once it happened, you was like it just stopped you dead.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely did. One thing about The Departed I didn't know about was that film was basically taken from the Asian film market and made and developed for the American audience.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that till years after the fact, but yeah, it like most of the movies that you see coming out now, if you notice, like in the past 2 years, a lot of them has just been reboots of things that we watched when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like the It reboot, that was badass. Like, I enjoyed that thoroughly. Like the friggin' new Pet Cemetery that I'm going to go see on Friday that's coming out. I mean, that's going to be awesome. Yeah. Friggin', I have to give props to the Freddie Mercury movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. That was a great watch. Mm-hmm. The Motley Crue show that they did that came out on Netflix, that was badass. Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't see The Dirt yet because I didn't know. I heard people talking about it, and I was reading that a lot of critics hated it, fans loved it. But one thing about that right there that I like to see the documentary. I like to see that movie, but I don't know about getting to the part and through the part with Vince Neil and his losing his daughter, because I can relate to that, man. Because
that's there's a couple of parts in there, man, of like, I ain't gonna ruin the movie for you or nothing else, but like there's more than just that one. Like, there's a couple parts in that movie to where you're just like cringe-worthy of like, just, man, like, you either have the takeaway of how the hell is them guys still alive and going
right
today, or you come out with, you know what, I'm a friggin' Motley Crue fan again, like.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first concerts I ever went to, was Motley Crue with my brother back in the day before he passed. And, I mean, that's just, Motley Crue. Like I said, anything Motley Crue, I'm down with.
Yeah. Motley Crue, I liked a lot of their music. I did. But, I mean, just like Dr. Feelgood, one of my favorite songs, Kickstart My Heart, Wild Side. Really great music. They had some really great songs. Home Sweet Home, that was another one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the friggin' now country music, I will say, Justin Moore redoing Home Sweet Home with Motley Crue was not that bad. Like, I thought it was gonna be shit.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly did. I gave it a chance though, and it's pretty good. But another little fun, useless fact: Kickstart My Heart was about Nikki Sixx.
Yeah,
he had pretty much OD'd, and
that
boom.
Yeah, that's crazy, because Nikki Sixx, man. If everyone viewing the chat right now, Nikki Sixx, if you've seen the movie Pulp Fiction, basically in the part in Pulp Fiction,
yes.
That's how I refer to it, and people refer to Nikki Sixx about dying. Okay.
Yeah, like he's the chick on the floor that they have to Uma Thurman, when they have to restart her like that with the adrenaline needle.
Yeah, that fucking needle that's like this, man, and just right in the damn heart. Damn.
Friggin' tranquilizer, dude.
Yeah, because it gives a shot of adrenaline. You bring them back to life. That's basically what happened. Yeah, like you said, that's what happened to Nikki Sixx. Nikki Sixx was Uma Thurman dying, and all of a sudden it was like, take that needle out, boom, you're alive again. And
yeah, I mean it's fucked up.
It is. It is. It's a fucked up shit. That band went through some shit. Any band, any of your favorite bands. I just want to say, any of your favorite bands. Okay, any of your favorite bands that you like. That's hard rock, metal, rap. They have went through some shit to get to where they're at. Just
God, yeah, they've either been shot at, or they've OD'd, or like. That's where most of their inspiration comes from, is like a tragic event in their life has happened, and they write about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. One of the I believe one of the craziest things is, I mean, if you read the biography The Dirt about Motley Crue, and even if you watch back in the day the behind the music, you can actually go back and look up on YouTube. I'm suggesting this to the viewers and listeners. Go back on YouTube. It's probably on YouTube. Go to look for the behind the music episode with Motley Crue, because when I watched the trailer for The Dirt, I said to myself after I got done watching the trailer, I said, I already seen this. And it's because I watched behind the music, but you're getting to see them make a movie about it, and probably more Dirt, which they didn't talk about behind the music back in the day when VH1 did behind the music series, which I told.
Oh yeah, because they had censors and stuff like that, probably, that they weren't allowed to come clean with everything like they could for the movie.
Right. So I definitely suggest that you watch that, then watch Dirt, and which I'll probably end up watching here in the next couple days. I will watch that, and we'll see that. I seen a movie just a couple days ago. I watched it this past Saturday night. Everett Lee was kicking back. Wife went to sleep early. My daughter was asleep. So Everett Lee decided he's gonna have some time for himself. Not preparing for a podcast, not doing anything for the podcasting network. I'm going to have some time for myself. I didn't feel like playing any gaming, so I sat on the couch. I'm going through looking for movies. And I ended up watching American Assassins, which I thought was freaking great movie with Michael Keaton. And that movie right there was great. That was great. I definitely want to go out and get the book and read it now after watching that. Then I found, just browsing through the on-demand movies, man, I found the Death Wish remake with Bruce Willis.
I've not got to see that one yet, but like I keep hearing about how awesome of a movie that is. Like, I totally want to see that shit. Like, when it's Bruce Willis, man, I mean, friggin' Die Hard, I mean, come on.
Yeah, that right there, Bruce Willis with him doing the Death Wish remake. I can't really remember too much of the original, but watching the remake of it, I thought it was great. It was directed by Eli Roth, and Eli Roth, if you're familiar with horror movies, Eli Roth was the guy behind the Hostel movies. He directed it. He directed
like
it.
He's into some sick shit.
Yeah.
Like, he has to be to make the Hostel films and stuff, because, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely is. Got another question here on the chat from Devin. He said, have you ever had any run-ins with Crash Jackson? He's impressive the hell out of him. And seeing him.
I have had several run-ins with Mr. Crash Jackson in my day, as I have his partner Wes. I've had a few run-ins with those guys. Crash Jackson, actually, back when I was thinking about retirement, gave me one of my final matches, or what was supposed to be one of my final matches, here in my hometown in Manchester. And the man is impressive. Like, he is a friggin' beast. Like, I mean, you'll never see a man with, like, I compare him to Cesaro. Like, he's freakishly strong, like, deceptionally fast. Like, you wouldn't think a guy of his size and his stature would be as fast and as strong as he is, but oh my God.
Right.
like he took me to my limits that night. I just happened to come out on the better on that exchange. But yeah, Crash Jackson, he's rolled through KZW quite a bit.
Nice.
He was actually a KZW Tag Team Champion there for a while.
Really? I think Devin, the last time you were on, asked a similar question like that, and he must keep up with you there, man. You got a devoted fan right there that keeps.
I was getting ready to say this guy sounds like a fan because I mean, like he keeps pulling up stuff that I've done over the course of 16 years. Some shit I can't even remember until somebody starts talking about it. You know. Like.
It's like sometimes when it's like I have to go through my old episodes just to remember if I had a guest on, and if we talked about certain things that I didn't want to repeat. Like today.
Oh yeah.
Like today, I went back and I watched the episode that we did when you first came on a few weeks ago. I went back and I was listening to that. And what's crazy is when you keep rolling out doing episodes week by week, sometimes you kind of get lost in what you talked about. So I'm always going back through the week and replaying episodes. My wife's like, you're obsessed with yourself. I say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm watching stuff so I can remember if I said this or that. Because if I have a guest come back on, I don't want to do a repeat of what you already seen. So I want to keep things fresh and interesting. Like tonight, man, everything's been fresh and interesting right now. Just talking about different things, talking about everything that's happened this past weekend with you at KZW. And we're sitting there talking about movies, which is great, music, and...
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, hell, wrestling's the same way. I mean,
yeah.
Like Mine and Crutches, back to Mine and Crutches thing. You know, me and him can feud 1,000 different times. We'll never have the same exact match. We always go harder, push each other further, faster. I mean, we always have different spots and different matches because, I mean, when you work a guy so many times, even if you work him 3 times in a row, you'll never have the same match with him. And if you do, you're one of those, you know, you're one of those workers, we'll just say, that ain't going to make it very far in the business if you have the same match with everybody every time. You know, I kind of think you have to, you know, test yourself as well as the other person because they're always going to be looking for that one opening. And like, say, it's like, again, me and Crutch. He's always going to be looking for that one opening spot to where, you know, he already knows what's about to happen and he's going to catch it. And that's what you try to avoid. You know, it's just like him. Like, there's certain things that he does, and he does it just about on cue, and that's how he gets caught. You know? Like, the last match we had, that's how I found my opening was, you know, he got complacent and thought that he had it in the bag and underestimated me, and when he did, I shut him down.
I like to see you guys one-on-one. I definitely do. I like to see you guys hook it up one-on-one in a KZW ring. And I wish I was there for Double Danger, but you know what? Who knows what happens for Everett Lee for 2019 and maybe 2020. We'll see what happens because you got to keep watching Everett Lee show because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen.
I would love to have a live Everett Lee show at one of the KZW shows, and just that way, you know, you could have an hour-long podcast and you could have 20 different guys come on there at like 10-minute intervals, you know, and have like interviews and stuff before and after matches and things like that. I would love to get one of those going.
Oh, dude, that would be something right there. That definitely would be something to do because I would definitely love that, though. But we'll see what Mr. McGuire says. You never know what's going to happen, and I definitely would like to do that. Definitely would like to come up to Kentucky, check out some KZW. I definitely would like to do that, but you know, time will tell. We'll see what happens. So just keep watching the Everett Lee Show, and you'll never know, man. You never know, because KZW, all the way, baby.
Yeah, Mr. McGuire's favorite catchphrase, man. He's a hell of a businessman, and like I said, I'm about 100% sure that if you pitch that idea, man, like I'd say he'd bite that like a fish on a hook. Like
he probably would. He definitely probably would.
I mean, I'd push for it because I mean, hell, that's that's exposure for the company, and that's exposure for Everett Lee, and I mean that's in different territories, and
yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Now, one thing I'm wondering about is what are you looking forward to for this weekend? This weekend, wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan right now and you're tuning in to this podcast, this weekend we have 3 awesome nights of wrestling. Friday night at 7 p.m. we have on the WWE Network NXT New York. Then Saturday we got the G1
the
special.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we got the Hall of Fame, and we got the G1 special. I believe it's Friday or Saturday. The New Japan
Saturday, yeah.
in ROH taking over Madison Square Garden for the first time. And then Sunday, you got WrestleMania. What are you looking forward to this week right here with all this wrestling that we have?
Honestly, that for the Hall of Fame, I'm looking forward to seeing the Hart Foundation go in.
Yes.
As far as Ring of Honor and the G1, I haven't got to see too many things on the card this year except for the Marty Scurll match. I'm looking forward to that one because I'm a big Marty Scurll mark.
Oh yeah.
And let's see, Friday. Well, Friday I'm pretty booked up and busy that day, so I'll probably have to just DVR it and catch it later. But I mean that's a tough one to call too. I mean, you know, there's, like I said, this weekend, if you're a wrestling fan, like this weekend is like, I don't know, Jesus touching us or something, you know, like we're getting all this fantastic wrestling from Friday to Sunday. Like you're going to have wrestling overload by the time this weekend's over.
You definitely are. You're definitely going to have a lot of wrestling overload, and it's going to be insane with what's going on because you got so much stuff that you can watch that you wouldn't even know where to begin. You wouldn't even know where to begin. I'm like excited about it because there's a lot of stuff going on. And one thing I want to ask you some questions about certain pay-per-views happening here in the next 3 days. But I want to jump into some fan questions first. I want to take them because the chat's on fire tonight. Every time you're on, man, the chat is on fire here on
I mean, what do you expect, man, when you have Mr. Wrestling on the show? Chat's going to be like crazy.
Exactly. Devin wants to know, or actually Dirty Deed says, do you think Kofi will beat Daniel Bryan? I want to start right there. Do you think WrestleMania, Kofi Kingston, will he become WWE champion? Will he defeat Daniel Bryan?
I would, honestly, I would like to see it because, I mean, Kofi, you know, he's earned it. I mean, he's busted his ass. He's paid dues. I mean, he's earned it. I mean, if anybody was a contender to get it from Daniel Bryan, why not Kofi, you know? I mean,
right.
I think he would be good, but in my opinion, like, just because I'm part of the business and I kind of know how the business politics is, which is shit at times, like,
yes,
they would probably do him as a transitional champion or like a handover guy just to give it to somebody else and put the screws to him later. Like, that's one of the things that made Jeremy Rage who he is today is, you know, politics had made the business miserable for me, and I just decided, you know, I'm going to do it my way.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean, things has turned out kind of better for me, but on the opposite part of the spectrum, you know, the fans kind of don't give you all the love in the world, but, you know, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that Kofi will probably get it, and I'm saying that he'll probably have him as a transitional champion if they don't put the screws to him at Mania and just, Brian retain.
Right. Well, I figured, I know tomorrow night I will be doing a prediction show that I'll be plugging here. Yeah. I think this would be the perfect spot right here since we got some viewers right now. I want to throw this out here real quick. Tomorrow night on the Podcasting Network, right here on twitch.tv/Podcasting Network. The other podcast that I do quite a few podcasts. If you keep up with me on my social media, on Facebook, The Everett Lee Show, and on Twitter at The Everett _Lee. I do a lot of podcasts. Tomorrow night, the Deleted Wrestling Podcast, which is a straight wrestling podcast, I will have none other than the Chris Rose, the United States, Kentucky's own wrestling United States champion. The Chris Rose will be joining me tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for the WrestleMania prediction show. And I will not be alone because coming on, he has not done one of these prediction shows in quite a while. Tomorrow night, he will be joining me and the Chris Rose. The one and only Chris Carnage will be joining Everett Lee and the Chris Rose to talk about predictions and our thoughts about WrestleMania this coming Sunday.
Damn, you're going to have a stacked card tomorrow, brother.
I am. So everyone tune in tomorrow night for the Deleted Wrestling Podcast at 9 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/Podcasting Network with the Chris Rose, United States champion, the Chris Rose, and Chris Carnage of the Chris Carnage Show and Final Score, which you can catch right here on Podcast City Network. But yeah, man, I'm going to have a stack card tomorrow for that. I was going to do ELS Uncut Friday, but as soon as I found out what time NXT TakeOver was going to be coming on, I told David Russell, because he joins me for ELS Uncut, I said, yeah, I'm watching NXT TakeOver. I am sorry. Next week, a new episode of ELS Uncut. And Chris Carnage will be joining me for that as well. And Dirty Dude says, Adam Cole, baby.
You can always point out the marks in the business through a chat, can't you?
The story, J.J. McGuire, when he was down here back in January, when he performed at the Podcast C Network's 1-year anniversary show.
Yeah.
He told me some stories. I loved. We stayed up late talking about stories. Him just listening to him talk about stories. I will have to say this. I was talking about him about his music, and I said, "Do you know how much of your music is out there on YouTube?" He said, "No." So he sat down right here next to me on this computer, and I pulled up his music that he's done for WWE. Him and Jimmy Hart. I'm sitting here in this chair where I'm sitting listening to Shawn Michaels' Sexy Boy. And sitting right next to me is the man who wrote it.
Yeah, I mean,
I had to pinch myself, man. I had to mark out myself there, Jeremy. But
dude, I mean, when I first met him, I did the same thing because, like, Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels and, like, like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm guilty of it myself, you know. I mean, everybody's a mark in the business. I mean, this is the guy that now owns the company that I work for. You know, and he was the guy that made all made these music for these guys back in the day when we were growing up. Like, that was one of the things we remembered. Like, you know, like when Steve Austin, when the glass popped, here you knew who it was. When the New Age Outlaws came out, you didn't know. I mean, we could quote him to a T. You know, I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And this is the guy that owns our company now, and like is very seriously thinking about picking back up the instruments and making music for the workers there now. So I mean, like, Hey, I'll take that rub, you know.
Definitely. But Kofi and Daniel Bryan. That right there. That I don't want to give too much away of what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow night.
Right, I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Give your thoughts on that right there.
I would like to see it be the main event, but we all know Lesnar and Rollins is going to be the main event. But I'm absolutely going to be pulling for, you know, Kofi to get it just because, you know, like I said, I know the time that the man's got in, and they've never gave him a shot. And he earned his shot, and the fans helped him get his shot and get his push. You know, this was not something that came out of the office of the Titan Towers, and this is not something that came up from Vince McMahon. You know, if anything,
right.
He hates the friggin' idea. And, I mean, I don't want to go out and say that, you know, anybody's a racist or anything like that, but, like, if you noticed, like, how many times have you seen Vince McMahon put the screws to guys he thought was less deserving? Hell, even Daniel Bryan back in the day.
Yeah.
Look at everything the authority threw at that guy to keep him away from the title.
Exactly.
And I mean, you know, so I can relate to that myself because coming up, you know, I didn't win my first world title till I was, you know, 7 years in the business. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I felt slighted, cheated, because I had earned and paid dues and never even got a shot and was getting looked at and looked past. And, you know, that's when I couldn't take no more.
Right.
So I think that Kofi, honestly, is almost to his breaking point. Like, Kofi is getting to that point to where he's about to say screw it and do it his way. Mm-hmm. And I hope it comes at Mania.
Yeah, it's going to be great because, I mean, Kofi, everything he's been through in the past 11 years. Daniel Bryan, same thing. I mean, look where he's at now compared to where he was back at WrestleMania 30. I will say that on that. For my thoughts and opinions on that, I'm just going to leave it right there because you can catch more tomorrow night. But the next thing, Devin says that he's rooting for Chase Owens to beat Juice Robinson at the G1. There's another good wrestler right there, Chase Owens, and both of those guys.
I've got to work with Chase before.
Yeah.
I watched him and the Miracle fucking go ad hit in West Virginia and Tennessee, and like, holy shit, brother.
Did they blow the roof off the place?
Him and Jason Kincaid, if you have never seen that match, you just go look up Chase Owens versus Jason Kincaid any fucking where. And that is the match that put him on the map. And Chase Owens is a hell of a competitor, and I look forward to it. But I thought that Juice Robinson was going against Bully Ray at the G1, but, I mean, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought that he was probably defending the U.S. title against, Bubba Ray at the time. But hell, if it's Juice Robinson and Chase Owens, that's going to be a hell of a match. Because, I mean, Juice Robinson, he was great. And when he went to NXT, they put the screws to him, and he left. And now look at him, you know.
Yeah, he's in a better place right now than what he was back in NXT. I agree with you right there. Oh, hell yeah. I agree with you right there. And then, of course, the women, the Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, that's the main event for WrestleMania this year.
Hell yeah, brother.
The women, the man versus the queen versus the baddest woman on the planet. Winner take all. Winner take all. I was shocked. Okay, I will say this. I will talk about SmackDown and Raw this past week. Raw, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. My attention span is like a 2-year-old when I watch Raw nowadays. I only watch an hour of it, and then I go on YouTube and I go through and I watch recaps because I just SmackDown. I could sit there and watch 2 hours, but here lately with everything going on and stuff, I been watching probably about an hour or hour and 30 minutes of it. I have not been really watching the last 30 minutes of it. But last night, I did watch the whole 2 hours, and I have to say, SmackDown was on fire last night because it was like, get through this segment, build it up, boom. Let's go through, build it up for Sunday, boom. Let's get the next segment, boom. Just, it flowed so good. Unlike Raw, it's like, you got something here, you got something there, got something here, got something there.
I contribute a lot of the snooze fest of Raw just being Brock Lesnar. I mean, he's a badass and he's a beast, sure, but he's never there.
Yeah.
Like, they're world champion,
it's never
and that
there.
title had so much prestige and lineage to it, and he's pretty much just pissing it away.
Yeah.
By not showing up when you've got guys that like Seth Rollins, and as bad as I hate to say this, like Roman Reigns, they're always there, and when they were champions, the title was always there being defended.
Right.
I mean, that's my biggest issue. Like, I mean, Daniel Bryan, he's pretty much turned the title into a piece of friggin' wood and a big walking pot plant nowadays, but I mean,
oh, damn.
I mean, at least it's there, brother, at least it's there.
Yeah, he's basically turned the title into something that you could smoke, and then I mean the jewels and stuff made out of rock salt and everything. Of course, it's 100% natural, but
Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, who takes a prestigious title like that and just turns it into hemp? Like, who does that? Only Daniel Bryan.
Did you see what AJ Styles said to Daniel Bryan a while back ago? Because Daniel Bryan was out there cutting a promo when he was feuding with AJ Styles, and AJ Styles came out, and I know the viewers have probably seen this if they remember this. Basically, AJ came out there and asked him if Daniel Bryan was high because it sounded like he was smoking his belt.
Oh, yeah.
He said that, and the crowd just went crazy.
When I first saw that, I thought for sure that Vince McMahon and them was going to either have a fit or they would immediately censor the TV show. Like, I figured that's how it was going to go, but they let him say that on live TV. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, they did. Basically, man, the way I look at it is Vince was probably like, hey, go out there, AJ, and say Daniel was high.
Well, I mean, I will say that I appreciate the WWE at least trying to bring back, like, not the Attitude Era, but at least bring back some attitude to the product itself, because for a while there, man, people just started tuning it out and changing the channel.
They did. I was one of those that's tuned
like
it out.
A guy I came up working in the Indies, Sammy Callahan. All right, he went to friggin' NXT for a short stint, and they totally misused him. He went to friggin' TNA, and I mean, Impact is not what you would call on the same scale as WWE is, but I mean, he's in a much better position and a much better place than he was before, and I mean, congratulations to that.
Yeah, definitely. I did actually, one thing I will have to say is I did get to see Sammy Callahan wrestle live when he was back in NXT, which I thought was great, and I was glad I got to see that. I was glad I got to witness that, see him wrestle live. And one other match Devin has put out there, he's looking forward to seeing Buddy Murphy, the Cruiserweight champion, Buddy Murphy, go up against Tony Nese. I kind of knew that's been happening because watching 205 Live here and there for the last few weeks and the last month.
Yeah.
You knew it was building because this past week when I was watching it, I didn't catch it this week. I'm going to have to go back tonight before I turn in later tonight and watch it. But I knew that Tony Nese was going to go one-on-one with Buddy Murphy because they were. You ever notice when you see a feud and you can see it's heading towards that direction where shit's going to hit the fan? You
Oh
know what I'm
yeah, I
talking
mean that's
about?
just how it goes. Like
Yeah.
you will build up. Like some people don't see it in the business, but like you're building towards something always in wrestling.
Yes.
Like even now, like I'm saying that JJ&M is probably in the having some form of idea of what's going to happen, like contingency plans of like if we win the tag titles or if we don't capture the tag titles, like what's next for the City Saints or what's next for the Undead Outlaws, or I mean that's just how the business is. It's always evolving. It's always going to the next step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. So you never know. But one thing that got me, which I read about tonight, Jeremy, was that they're going to be putting the Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese match on the pre-show this Sunday on the WWE Network.
What?
Yeah. It was announced tonight. I caught that there. I said, "Are you kidding me? Another match that they're going to be throwing on the pre-show?"
That's what I'm saying. Like they're throwing away. Like, because those cruiserweights, I just got news for you. Some of those guys ain't even freaking, to me, ain't even real freaking cruiserweights. Some of those big jacked up fuckers. But I mean, my God, man, those are some like of the most exciting matches that you can have on the card. Like those are the matches I used to pay to see back in WCW and WWF days.
Yeah. It's. I was reading about it tonight, and you guys can check it out if you go online there. I think I was reading off of Wrestling Inc. They've basically, Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese. That's going to be on the pre-show. That's going to be on pre-show there. Now, Dirty Deeds says that AJ versus Orton will be the best match. That's his opinion right there. Your take on that? AJ Styles versus Randy Orton.
That will be a phenomenal match, hands down, because Randy Orton is one of the best modern-day wrestlers and has been on top of his game for the past 12 years.
Right.
And AJ Styles, I mean, that speaks for itself. That guy's name, you can just look him up, and, I mean, the man's phenomenal. Like, he earned that moniker.
Uh-huh. I believe that, that definitely will be one hell of a match right there. AJ versus Orton. And Devin says that Murphy is great in his opinion, but he'd love to see him versus AJ or Finn or Seth, which I think would be great. Buddy Murphy, he's come a long way. If you actually look at where and how where he's been at.
Look at where he started and then how he got there. I mean, because the guy that he teamed with back in the day when Alexa Bliss was running Buddy Murphy and his partner, his old partner is in NXT again with a new team, and Buddy Murphy has trimmed down and got a beastly shape.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's run the friggin' cruiserweight division since Neville. I have to say he's the best cruiserweight champion since Neville.
Yeah. It's Wesley Blake. Wesley Blake.
Yeah, Wesley Blake.
He got with Steve Cutler and the other guy. I forget his name.
He was Gunner in TNA.
Yeah, he was Gunner. I guess Crazy Steve. That's who he was, at times there in TNA. But yeah, he's the Forgotten Sons.
That's it.
Yeah, he's never actually made it to go up to the main roster, which I find kind of weird. It's strange though, but who am I? But
right. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like the fans are like the ones that the people should be listening to. Like the guys in charge should be listening to guys. Like if they say, "Hey, this is the guy," they need to take stock in that, and they need to look at this person and evaluate what's going on, what's he done, how's he getting over. Like they need to hold accountability for things like that instead of pushing the same old bullshit on people. I mean, they force-fed us Brock Lesnar since 2016, 2014, somewhere around in that area, and
Right.
like people is like I said, they've turned the channel. Like they don't want to see it.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to see that. They definitely don't. Everyone's pretty much tired of Brock Lesnar. I mean, pretty much everyone is tired of him. And
Well, I mean, for like a big fat feel, like him and Taker at Mania, that was a big
Yes.
fat feel. Like I wanted to see that match.
Mhm.
I didn't want to see the way that it ended, but I wanted to see that match, because
Right.
it was a big fat feel. But like, I mean, people automatically assume that he's just going to run through Rollins.
Mhm.
And I'm guilty of the same thing. Like, I know Rollins is a bad dude, and I know he's a great worker, and I've worked with Tyler before, back in the day, but I don't know if he's capable of slaying the beast, as they want to call it, because, I mean, I've seen the man in UFC, and I know what he's really capable of, and I don't see Seth Rollins coming out with a Universal title. Now, I look forward to seeing the Demon King, Finn Balor,
Yes.
at WrestleMania. I've heard wind of that happening, and I hope it's against The Undertaker. That is a match that I would love to see.
Oh yeah. I'd love to see that. I definitely did. I definitely do. Like,
What's
yeah.
the match that you're wanting to pull for? Like, what is the match that Everett Lee wants to see the most out of WrestleMania this year?
Out of WrestleMania this year, I will answer that for this right here. I'm sorry. Devin's just, Dirty Deeds just put up on the chat, poor Braun getting a shit mania spot. I'm sorry that I popped up.
What did Braun get this year? Like, I haven't even heard.
Oh, shoot. What did he get again? I'm trying to remember because I got some stuff I got to look at for tomorrow night to kind of
Is
refresh
he
my
even
memory.
in the Andre the Giant thing?
I think he is. But out of all the matches at Mania, oh yeah. He's in with the Saturday Night Live guys that no one gives a flying, excuse my French, flying fuck about. Those guys are having funny. Those guys, I watched those guys when they were on Raw. I thought that
those are the guys that are on their way out the door. Like, when you get demoted down to Saturday night like that, like, it's just a matter of time before your number's called.
Exactly. One thing I will have to say is that Braun Strowman is now the Big Show. He's the welcoming mat into the WWE now. I hate to say that. I hate to say that because remember all the stuff that Big Show did with talent and everything and stuff, right? When people would show up and at there for WWE.
Oh yeah, and he was the guy
mat.
that they had to test him against.
Yeah, he's the welcome mat. But
And now they've got Braun that way.
Yeah, Braun's the next guy because Big Show's backstage now. If you watch a lot of the programming that's on the WWE Network, you see that there's quite a bit with the Big Show backstage now doing stuff with talent. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's an agent or something now. And that's, I mean, I'm glad that Show, decided to step away from in-ring competition because, I mean, you got guys like Braun Strowman and shit now who's flipping semis over instead of, flipping just cars over like he did back in the day. But, I mean, Jesus Christ, Braun Strowman is a friggin' freak of nature anyway.
Yeah, he definitely is. Braun Strowman is definitely. Well, I mean, he's a former strongman competition and stuff. But to answer your question there, Jeremy, I am looking forward for Mania this year, actually. Out of all the matches I'm looking forward to, I'm actually looking to see, you talked about it a little bit. I want to see how they are going to take the Universal title off of Brock Lesnar and put it on Seth Rollins. I'm looking at that. I will give this little spoiler alert, as Paul Heyman would say, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Here's my prediction for the Beast Slayer Seth Rollins versus the Beast Brock Lesnar. My little prediction is that I believe that Lesnar will get distracted by not one, but two outside interferences. Those two outside interferences are named Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose.
I saw where you're going with that.
Dean Ambrose will basically help out Seth Rollins capture the Universal title right before he rides off into the sunset and leaves, because his contract expires. It expires right after WrestleMania. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah,
so,
like the day or two after Mania, like his contract's over. Like, I've heard that he's trying to talk about renegotiating and things like that, but
right.
I also heard, too, that he's just burnt out and just, he's just done.
Yeah. Yeah, Ambrose is going to help Rollins in some capacity capture the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns.
Well, I tell you what, I will bet $1 with Everett Lee that on that match, and whoever wins, I promise you, you win that bet, I will PayPal you $1.
There you go. I do have a way, which I will be setting up later here right here on the stream, where basically me and Chris Carnage, who I co-own Podcasting Network with, we talked about actually doing stuff where we can have during these live streams as you're viewing tonight, where basically people can donate and help build and help donate to Podcasting Network, where we can actually help out. For example, Deathmatch Russell.
Hell yeah.
Deathmatch Russell getting an upgrade on his computer. Help us upgrade our
like
stuff.
Jesus Christ. Come on, Russell, get with the times, brother. You behind on us.
You definitely are. You definftly are. And all I gotta say is,
on Russell.
yeah, I always do. And this new software I'm using, I've only used about, maybe I said earlier tonight, at 24 at the max for my PC usage. Right now, I'm using about 16% of it, so it's taking a strain off of it.
Damn, man! Like,
I know
this new gear that you have is. Well, I mean, I know we compare everything on this show to wrestling pretty much, but I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty much like getting a new set of trunks or something. You try them on, break them in, and it goes good, and that's your favorite part.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll put it in wrestling terms. I traded out Mae Young for a I traded out Mae Young for a Zelina Vega.
Listen, man, I don't want to say much about her because I don't want Aleister Black to turn up and give me a black mask because of me talking about his wife.
I couldn't believe that, man. I cannot believe that.
Oh, hell yeah.
When I heard the news right there, I was like, really? And you know what's funny? When I was watching SmackDown last night, when they were doing that 8-man intergender mixed tag, and she was in the ring, I said to my whole life, I said, look at Zelina Vega. I was like, she's a good wrestler. She is actually good.
She is a great wrestler. She really is.
But she is so tiny. But she's a great wrestler, man. She's awesome. She's a good worker. She is a fantastic worker. But I'm looking at her, I'm like, she is so tiny. She is so tiny. But I enjoy
it has gone
what she
so
does.
far backwards. Like you remember growing up when we were kids watching like the mid to late 80s and all the 90s and the 2000s, like
yes.
Wrestling had these big monstrous looking guys. Like they was nobody hardly under 300 pounds, and if they was, they were cruiserweights. And now you've got average sized guys holding world titles and stuff now. Like, it's crazy, just like the women. Like, look how far the women have worked and busted their ass to get where they are. Like, the main event of Mania.
Exactly. It's funny that you mention that because, superstar Billy Graham, he's really active on Facebook. Did you hear about the comments that he put out on Facebook about Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan? He basically said, who wants to see a guy like Kofi Kingston, who is a $125 wet, go up against someone like Daniel Bryan?
Wow.
He said it's a joke. It's become a joke now. But times have changed. That's what he was getting at. Is look how far we've come from. Like, look at his day. He was just referring to there was nobody under 300 pounds, and if they was, they were the friggin' luchadors from Mexico, and stuff, like coming and working, and like they were the cruiserweights, and these guys could friggin' throw them. Hell, the fucking jobbers back in those days. Like, look at Hercules Hernandez from back in the friggin' 80s and 90s. One of the biggest dudes ever, and my God, look how far we've come in the business. I mean, hell, exactly.
If I was a wrestler back in those days compared to now, like, I would probably be nothing more than a job guy. Like, no joke. Like, I would, back in those days, you knew your place on the card, and you don't dare, try to get over that. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, you got guys, average-sized guys getting those attitudes of, we know how good we are, and we're going to show these fuckers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Like, I'm proud of the women's division. Like, I am. Like, it's went from bra and panty matches to actual great contests. Like, it really has.
It has. And one of the things that I was reading about today, or a while back ago, was Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson got a lot of heat because she got inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. But if you really look at it, she was given what she was given to work with back in the day, and because women's wrestling wasn't really that. A lot of people didn't really pay too much attention to it because for the fact that it was brawl and panties matches. Yeah, that's all she basically did, but she worked and did the best she could with what she was given. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
That's all we can all do. Like, for any job that we have, you can only do the job as best to your ability to what you are given. Like, I mean, it's kind of like your equipment that we've been talking about off and on. Okay, like if they're like, all right, here's a shit microphone and a little headset and a little webcam, do a podcast. I mean, you can only have as good a podcast as that equipment will allow. And I mean, Tori Wilson. She's inducted in the Hall of Fame, and people might be giving her shit over it because, they think that she didn't do anything in the business. But, I mean, my God, she put up, if you think about it, she put up with more bullshit than what the girls do now because she was subjected to that sexist, show your boobs and your butt on TV kind of shit, Like, I feel sorry for some of those women back in the day of what they had to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy of all the stuff they had to go back, go through back.
It was hella good TV, back in the day. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite times. But
it was great. It definitely was great. It definitely was great because of all the stuff that went on.
But I mean, when it came time to kick ass, they kicked ass. I mean, you got to give them that. I mean,
yeah, you definitely do have to agree right there. You definitely do. But I mean, WrestleMania, it's gonna be something with all the stuff that's gonna be going on this Sunday, and especially with what's going on with the G1 this Saturday. at Madison Square Garden, Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling. And then, of course, you have on Friday, 7 p.m. on the WWE Network, you have NXT TakeOver New York. That card is going to be stacked right there with the matches they have.
God, dude.
Now, I'm looking
the friggin'
forward.
Aleister Black Ricochet tag team title match that they got. Like, I didn't see that coming, but I mean, I'm kind of rooting for those two guys because.
Yeah.
You know, Trevor Mann's a Kentucky representative, and Aleister Black. I mean, you know, what more do you need to say? Those two are some of the best wrestlers in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's gonna be great. I mean, one match I'm looking forward to for NXT is the main event. Will Johnny Gargano finally capture the NXT Championship? Or will Adam Cole grab it? Because I have a feeling right after Mania, one of those two guys, you'll be seeing
are going to the main roster.
Exactly. If they do that, apparently, well, a while back ago, there are some rumors that there are some more call-ups coming up to the main roster. There are some more call-ups coming right after WrestleMania this year. Because after WrestleMania, that's when they hit the reset button and start everything all over again, man. That's basically what they do. They start it all over again. And,
it's just like pretty much they're hitting the reset button on everything. Like the day after Mania, like that's must-see TV is the Raw after WrestleMania.
Yeah, it definitely is. You see how crazy the crowd acts and who's going to show up on Raw. What I hate is when they announce someone who's going to show up that night and not surprise you with them just coming out. That's what.
Yeah, like I miss those '90s era moments like that where you never knew.
Yeah.
And then boom, all of a sudden there they were, and now they just announce it. Like they totally kill the suspense.
Yeah, they totally kill it. They definitely totally kill it. Dirty Deed says that Tommaso might have to retire after his injury. I don't know if I haven't read into that though, but from what I understand, it was a pretty serious injury that he has, and he will have to have surgery, and he's going to be out for basically the better part of 2019.
Oh, we're talking about Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that he had gotten hurt. Like I haven't saw anything. Like I was about to ask you about that world title. Like what happened there, but I just answered my own question. But yeah, I didn't know that the guy had gotten hurt like that. I mean, I haven't got to catch up on my wrestling intake, as I'll call it, in the past 2 weeks, where I've been so busy kind of with my own comings and goings in wrestling. But I had no idea that the man was hurt. Like, what kind of surgery is he going to have?
I'm trying to remember because I've been jumping on and off with the last month or so, or 2 months with NXT. I believe it's his neck or some kind of serious injury like that, where basically he's going to be gone for most of 2019, and he had to vacate the the NXT title because at TakeOver New York this Friday it was supposed to be Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano. They were building that story. But since Tommaso got hurt, now he had to vacate the title. There's no one to take the title. So basically Triple H put Adam Cole wrestled in a couple weeks ago in a fatal 4-way match. And he won that match to become the #1 contender. And Johnny was staying in that main spot for that title. So,
because he'd already earned his place.
Yeah, he already earned his place, so that wasn't going to change anything. It's just he needed an opponent because the title's vacated, and no one has the title. And so these guys are going to main event, and whoever wins is going to get the title. And like I said earlier, whoever loses, you're going to see go up to the main roster. I guarantee it.
Well, I'll go ahead then, and I'll leave it up to you. I can save that prediction of mine until tomorrow, or I can go ahead and let it out right now, and you can repeat it tomorrow. But I mean, if we're going to look at it that way, like I pretty well have a general idea of who's getting the title and who's going up.
Right.
I pretty much figure if we're going to look at it that way, I'm going to say Adam Cole will probably be your next NXT champion, and Gargano will probably be bumped up to the main roster.
I can see that happening because pretty much Adam Cole has captured almost all the titles in NXT except the NXT Championship. So
Yep.
I could see Adam Cole capturing the title and Johnny going up to the main roster. But I hope to God, I hate to say it though, I hope to God they don't decide to just stick him on 205 Live. Please don't stick him on 205 Live. Please.
If they call up Johnny and they try to relegate him like 205 Live, like if I had to choose, like I would just stay in NXT.
Yeah, I definitely would stay in NXT. I would not want to go to the main roster. I would not.
Like if I ever get to call up one of these days, as we call it, getting called up to Glory Land. If I ever get called up to Glory, you better believe, like, if they give me an option, I would probably just stay on NXT if I had it my way, because, like, like when you go to the main roster, you're going to be relegated one way or another. And, I mean, if you've already built a name for yourself and staked a claim in NXT, why give that up?
Exactly. So, yeah, why not have Johnny go up to the main roster, have Adam Cole win the title, and pretty much there you go. You go. That is pretty much what's going to happen.
Like, I mean, that would be, if I had to guess, like, that would be my prediction. But like I said, I'm not going to try to spoil your show for tomorrow, because I could sit and predict shit and talk about wrestling for the next 48 hours. Like how much time you got, brother?
Exactly. This is just NXT, which I didn't want, which I will not really be touching mostly based on tomorrow, depending on tomorrow night where my guests decide to go with the discussion for tomorrow night. But other than that, pretty much we're going to be talking about WrestleMania and the card for that. So there's pretty much that's pretty much it for what's.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow's show, because I will be tuning in as always, and I will definitely be looking forward to Mania, brother. It's here again. It's upon us one more time. We're getting another Mania.
Well, you know where next year's WrestleMania is going to be at, don't you?
No, I haven't heard.
It's going to be in my backyard in Tampa.
Oh, you lucky fucker. You'll definitely be at Mania.
Me and my wife.
Because me and you talked about it once before, and you didn't get to go to the one that was there close to you the last time.
No, I didn't get to go to WrestleMania 33 because my daughter was born. I didn't get to go to that, which I missed out on. But it's coming next year to Tampa, and we definitely are gonna. Me and my wife, we're definitely gonna go see it next year in Tampa. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll be hanging around. And any viewers and listeners are down in Tampa next year for WrestleMania 35, be sure to check out. Don't be surprised if you run into Everett Lee from the Everett Lee Show.
Damn right.
Yeah.
He's going to be wearing a Jeremy Rage shirt to go with Mania with, too. You better believe that.
I'll wear it. I'll put a sign up there that says Jeremy Rage. If they allow signs in,
Hell, they need to have signs that says Jeremy Rage versus Everett Lee
Don't give J.J. McGuire's any ideas.
Hey, man, I'm already trying to give him the idea of doing a live podcast on site. You know, I mean, crazier things has happened, brother.
Yeah. A lot of crazy things could happen. They could.
Hell, I'd like to see you come down and do the live podcast as like the guest general manager that night or something, like, you know, like be a part of the show as, you know, as your show's happening, like simultaneous broadcast, you know, like.
Yeah.
That'd be like badass, kind of like some WCW, WWF did back in the day when he purchased it, you know, like.
Shane McMahon.
You remember that time? Yeah, you remember the simultaneous? Like, that was wild.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That was a dark day.
Yeah, that was some crazy shit that went on, man. Yeah, that was some crazy shit. But I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the world of wrestling with everything going on and stuff. So, I mean,
well, I mean, that's what makes it so exciting is you never know. And like wrestling never gets old. Like no matter how much people bitch about it, no matter how many people change the channel, you're always going to have that dedicated, you know, standard group of people that's, you know, die hard till the day they die. You know, they'll never miss it.
Exactly. You definitely will have that strong fan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my God, indie wrestling, thank God, has come back in a major way. Like independent wrestling nowadays has. Like, we've made enough noise to where, like, a company like AEW has been born from it. I mean, you know, Ring of Honor is a big indie promotion that's become glorified in the world and synonymous in sports entertainment and stuff nowadays. I mean, and sports entertainment, that's another thing. Like, it's wrestling, you know, and we're wrestlers. We're not sports entertainers, or, you know, it's not sports entertainment. Like, that's garbage to me. Like, I hate that.
Right.
Worse than anything.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, the times have changed, and yeah, of course, it's wrestling. It's wrestling, okay, but in this day of age, yeah, they call it sports entertainment. They definitely do. They definitely do. Dirty
and
Deeds.
I mean, we're dating ourselves by saying it like that, but I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. I know, I understand. Dirty Deeds wants to know what you think about JR, good old JR, Jim Ross signing with WWE. Did you hear about that deal that he signed today?
He signed with AEW?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, he'd already been doing some work since he left the WWF or WWE. Yeah. He'd already been doing some work with New Japan and stuff, so I kind of figured that's what was going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, like, if you're going to have a commentator for a new company, who better than Jim Ross?
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly. Who would be better to suit that role than Jim Ross? I mean, just look at everything that he's done.
And I'll tell you right now, the team to beat would be Jim Ross with Joey Styles and Tony Schiavone. Like, you have the three main color commentators from each company, ECW, WWF, and WCW, like, together on one team at AEW. Like, how crazy would that shit be?
It definitely would be crazy right there.
Like, I mean, I would mark out for that in a major way, because they all three still have gainful employment in the business. I mean, and they were the best at what they did for their respective companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely have, and they've done some, a lot of stuff there with the company and everything. I totally agree. I totally agree with you right there.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, that's something. That was just something. What if they got for the hell of it? What if they got Jim Ross? I mean, not Jim Ross, but what if they got Jerry Lawler?
Oh my God! Do you know that Vince McMahon would probably have a shit or a conniption right on his front stoop of his home in Greenwich? He would probably die 3 deaths just to come back and say, "I can't believe they betrayed me so." But he fired Jim Ross like 9 times. He fired Jerry Lawler a handful of times. I mean, my God.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, look how much they fired Jerry and what they've done with Jerry and everything and stuff. It's crazy. It's just.
Well, I mean, I like some promoters and some, and I mean, you'll see that in the indies too. I've been through that myself. Like some promoters, they will want you to stay with that company and never go anywhere. No matter if you burn a bridge to get there, no matter how you got there. Once you're there, they don't want you going anywhere else, and they will tell you in the indies, you know, even to this day, you know, you can go and work anywhere you want, but you know, the only thing they can tell you to do is you can't work there. And like they pretty much twist your arm without twisting your arm, you know, like they pretty much try to put the stranglehold on you without actually coming out and doing it.
Exactly. Chris Jericho, I was reading today, Chris Jericho put out there, he said that he's no longer welcomed to have WWE talent on his podcast. WWE's like, nope, no more talent because you're with AEW now, which I think
that's ridiculous.
Funny. It is. He basically said, he said, I'm going to WrestleMania this year. Will really not, because I'm banned and I can't have WWE talent on my podcast because I think that way they're afraid that he may try to recruit them to come to AEW, which I think is funny, man.
Like, I mean, that's how, I mean, like, I hate to, I guess what I would call shed negative light in some kind of way on the business, but I mean, if you think about it, the wrestling business is a cutthroat friggin' business, because I mean, that's like back when I got hurt and I was out for a whole year. Like, they were guys that were banking for my spot. And when I got hurt, they were like a friggin' bunch of sharks that smell blood. They jumped on that spot.
I believe it.
I mean,
I believe it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's the same way with Vince. He automatically thinks that, well, if I go talk to my best friend, you know, even though he don't work here anymore, and I do, Vince is afraid that, you know, he's going to be like, you know, hey, man, the microphone ain't on. Would you like to come to, you know, AEW or something other, you know? And
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a conniving business, like it really is.
It definitely is. Yeah. he'd be like, another one's asking for their contract to get released. Jericho.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure that we will see a Ty Dillinger in AEW, and I mean, I would love to, because I enjoyed watching Ty Dillinger's work.
I did. And the problem with that, with Ty Dillinger when he was in WWE, was that basically he got over with the fans, and they didn't want that. They didn't want, at that time, they didn't want no one else to get over. Roman, before he came out with his leukemia announcement and stuff, he was the guy they were pushing for. No one else could get over except Roman. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, when Ty got over on his own by just the fans,
yes,
that pissed them off. And I mean, that's the same thing with Kofi. I mean, like, Roman is back and stuff, but I mean, now they're pushing Kofi, and like, you know, I'm afraid of like, what happens if Roman turns on the Shield? You know, what happens if everybody thinks, oh, Roman's going to help Rollins win the title, and he puts the screws to Rollins? Like, how sick, you know, like, that's something I think I could, like, get behind and would, like, love to see, just because it would be a change-up, you know, like, they force-fed us this yay Roman for so long, and just to have him do a turn, you know, like, I would love to see that.
Yeah. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah. What if at Mania he helps Seth Rollins win the championship? They get the belt off of Brock. Yay! And all of a sudden Roman just turns. No one expects it, dude.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. Imagine how much hate he would have. I hate to say this. Okay, don't take this personal. This is just a thought and an opinion. That just let's say a fake scenario. Okay, this is a make-believe scenario because I know how everyone can be PC nowadays. What if it got to the point? What it got to point? Yeah. Roman turns on Rollins, and the crowd hates Roman for doing it, and they're like, "We would have wished leukemia would have killed you," or something like that.
Yeah, some shit like that is how people would get.
Yeah, that's how bad it would get. That's
because he is now the new John Cena. Like, John Cena was our Hogan replacement, and now Roman is our kids and grandkids' Hogan and Cena replacement. So, I mean, you think about it, it's kind of like when Hogan first turned heel back in the day and turned on his brother, the Macho Man. Like,
yeah.
I remember when I was a kid and saw that, I flipped the fuck out. And, I mean... It would be the same thing if Cena was to come back and turn heel. Like, people, they would love it, and they would probably hate it at the same time. Like, kids would probably cry.
Yeah, the guy would make kids cry. He would make kids cry over the fact that he's bad. He's bad.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids love him. And he definitely would. He definitely would, but We've talked and discussed a lot of things tonight. We mostly talked about wrestling, which I'm cool with because I'm a big wrestling fan. And
but brother, we've covered a little bit of everything. I mean, hell, we went different routes.
Yeah, we did. We covered music. We covered movies. We even covered wrestling. So we pretty much covered and had a pretty damn good open discussion tonight about a lot of things.
Hell yeah, brother.
But before we do close this podcast out, I do have to make give a quick shout out to the sponsors of Podcast City Network. So you can check out more of these sponsors that support Podcast City Network over on podcastcity.net. You can follow Podcast City Network over on Facebook on Podcast City Network and on Twitter at Podcast City Net. Make sure you subscribe and like and follow Podcast City Network on YouTube for episodes from our mini shows from Podcast City Network. And be sure to follow and subscribe right here on twitch.tv/Podcast City Network for the content that is streamed live here each and every week on podcastcity.net. And real quick, we're going to listen from a word from our sponsors here on podcastcity.net that support our website.
The following support and sponsor Podcast City Network. City Limits Tap Room, sports bar in DeLand, Florida, has brew on tap, serve food, the grilled cheese is excellent. For upcoming events, check out City Limits Tap Room on Facebook.com/City Limits Tap Room. Atlantic Sounds has thousands of new and used vinyl records and CDs. If they don't have it, they can order it for you. Same location since 1982. For more updates on what's new, check out Atlantic Sounds on Facebook.com/Atlantic Sounds Vinyl. Sports Sanity Customs have worked with organizations from custom embroidering polo shirts to jerseys for your kids' baseball team. They do it all. Armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an in-house design team, they are equipped to take on your next project. Visit their website to learn more, sportsanitycustoms.com. Visit Sports Sanity Customs on Facebook.com/SportsSanityCustoms. 3-Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. Visit facebook.com/3countdesign for more. Demo Blast Studios, an explosion of imagination. Original artwork, podcasts, video, apparel and more. Visit demoblaststudios.com. Visit Demoblast Studios on facebook.com/demoblaststudios, the best family entertainment pro wrestling show in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky's Own Wrestling brings quality family vintage wrestling to a town near you. Kentucky's Own Wrestling offers a ladies division in wrestling and a training school. Kentucky's Own Wrestling is the current longest running Southern promotion. Visit facebook.com/Somerset Kentucky's Own Wrestling. All supporters and sponsors are brought to you by Podcast City Network.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
You can check out more of the sponsors, as mentioned before, on podcastcity.net. So be sure to jump over there for the latest episodes and sponsors and content on podcastcity.net. Well, Mr. Wrestling, Jeremy Rage, it's been
Yes,
great.
sir.
I want to thank you for coming on tonight, coming back on and discussing wrestling, movies, and music with me here on the podcast tonight. And before we close, where can people find more Mr. Wrestling Jeremy Rage at on social media?
You can find me on Jeremy Estep1 on Instagram. You can find me under Jeremy Rage Estep on Facebook, and you can find me as Jeremy Rage Wrestler on Snapchat.
Nice. Thank you so much. And before we close, I do want to mention that you can follow more of the Everett Lee Show over on Facebook, The Everett Lee Show, and on Twitter at the Everett_Lee. Follow me on Instagram, Everett Lee Show, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel of the Everett Lee Show for audio podcast. Here in the next week or so, I will be switching formats with my audio podcast. I'll be switching over to a different podcast hosting service. So I'll be in the middle of that right now. That's the reason why I'm in the middle of doing that right now, getting things straightened out, trying to find another hosting audio service for my audio podcast of the Everett Lee Show. Basically shopping for a new provider, and when that becomes available, you will get a heads up on the social media of the Everett Lee Show, and I will let you all know. And in the next few weeks, I have some great talent coming on. I've booked for the Everett Lee Show. Next week, I will have the actress who is starring in the indie film Hot Mess in a Wedding Dress. I will have on her next week, and I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, but she'll be on. And in the following week, I will have none other than the one and only Saint from Chicago, as I refer to him, Damian Saint. In 2 weeks, will be on the Everett Lee Show. And at the end of next month, on May 29th, I will have none other than the driving force behind, over in Tampa, Florida, here in Tampa, Bouncy Boxer Media. I will have Stephanie Davis, Lexi Belstraya, and Chelsea Wolf back on, because by that time, their first feature independent movie, Hot Mess in a Wedding Dress, will be released already. I'm going to have a triple threat with all three women from Bouncy Boxer Media on at the same time that we talked about before last year. I know, Jeremy, it's going to be a crazy 2 months here with a lot of guests coming in and out on the Everett Lee Show, but other than that, it's gonna be fun. And again, thank you for coming on tonight. And I'm gonna cue this outro music.
Hey, thank you guys for the questions, and thank you, Everett, for having me on again, man.
Anytime. You're welcome to come back on anytime. Shoot the shit, and you know, who knows what will happen. So, with that being said, Everett Lee is signing off here on the Everett Lee Show. Everyone, have a good night.